Hello everyone, my name is John Kadairu. I work with Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. I'm the head of ICT division within the commission. I've been with the commission for about 10 years now, and over time we have leveraged on ICT in the area of human rights. So today I'm here to talk about a complex management system, an e-system, separate from the manual day-to-day processes. Basically, each NHRI has that mandate to receive and process complaints. It's then upon the NHRI to choose whether to have a system, an electronic system, or not. Because of the challenges that we shall come across as we move on, you'll understand why we, as the Commission, we have chosen to fully automate our processing, our receiving and processing of complaints. So we start from when a petitioner walks into the office, the screening forms, the telephone conversation forms, or any other documents that we deal with. All those processes, they are manual processes. How we file, it's a manual process. How we process the complaints is a manual process. So all those challenges, there are so many other challenges connected to the entire manual process. First of all, you might think of delays in terms of procedural technicalities, poor management in terms of which complaints do I prioritize, which one will I not prioritize, failure to deal with issues systematically. By that I mean, how would you know, how would you identify which rights is being violated more than another? And that's why I want to demonstrate the complaints management system so that you can actually see how the Commission is serving, how the system is serving the Commission in terms of strategically placing it in touch with the needs of the common man. If you have regional offices, for example, how would you manage to receive these complaints from all these regional offices? How would you at any one point say how many petitions you have received across the entire office, that is your head office plus other regional offices? You can't do that without a system. Secondly, in terms of staff productivity, sometimes it's difficult to keep trace of documents. How fast can one person process a complaint? How long does it take to process a complaint? Such are the issues that you can only identify when you have a proper complaints management system. And there are many other angles to it. In terms of performance management, you would actually know how many complaints have you processed within a given period of time. Which staff member is being overworked, or which staff member is seeing more petitions or doing more actions within the system? How would you know where the complaints are coming from? From which region? Is it where your offices are located, of whichever other region? How would you know if you don't have a system that can tell you such kind of information? The system would also guide you in terms of opening a regional office. If you have a system and you're receiving more complaints from a certain location, chances are very high that you might need to open a regional office within that location, or maybe do more public forums. So those are just a few of the many advantages that you can pick from such a system. For the Commission, we have used the system to do things like police vetting, judges and magistrate vetting, universal periodic reviews, and also monitoring the compliance of governments and ministries on the adherence to human rights. Documentation and processing of complaints in a very good way. That means in terms of adopting a system, an electronic system would actually add more value to the Commission in many years to come, and to strategically place it in touch with the needs of the common mwananchi, or what we normally refer to as the common man within the Republic. We shall now do a brief presentation of the system so that you can appreciate what the system has been able to do for the Commission. So I'll log in into the system. The system is just a complaints management system. So I'll just get into this page, and what you'll actually see is a page that tells you the features that are available within the system, like mapping, analytics, SMS, and reporting, and many other features that the system has helped us that are available on the system basically. So I'll just log into the system, then we can cover a few sections that are available on the system. So having logged into the system, you will find that the system is broken down into various categories. We have a dashboard that we can give us a snapshot of the details that are there. We have what we call a back office, a section that normally just helps us to be able to understand where a complaint has reached, or in terms of collection and management of that complaint. We also have a redress section. We have reporting section, data mining sections, and some other administrative sections of the system. Starting with the dashboard, the system gives you a quick view of how many petitions have been received by the commissions. For us, we are clocking about 30,000 at this particular point in time. We also have petitioners. Petitioners are the people who walk in. Sometimes people can come in groups, but they are reporting just one petition. So how would you go around this? Is that we can record the entire group, but just record it as one petition instead of recording about 50 petitions if they are just bringing one complaint. The system also helps us to know how many issues we have closed, how many referrals we have done, of course, how many persons with disability have reported the issues to us, and things to do with state violations, because the state is also capable of violating people's rights. So it's also something that we record. As we go down on the platform, you'll actually see the system giving us various statistics. One is petitions by gender, just a breakdown of the various categories by gender or sex, as many people refer to it. So you can actually see for us we have about 70% as of now, and 70% male, 27% female, intersex about 0.08%. Not applicable would refer to petitions that are being brought by groups. Those ones, it's difficult for you to categorize it either as male, female, or intersex. But as we go down, as I said, we are a progressive commission. We're also recording things to do with sexual orientation, what is normally referred to as SOGI issues, sexual orientation and gender identity. As we go down, you can actually see we are starting to receive, slowly by slowly, starting to receive petitions from these others. For now, we have gays, and I'm certain we'll have lesbians and many other sections that we can cover. Gender identity, this would cover issues to do with transgender and others that fall under this category. The system can also categorize it under various categories that we have at the Commission. Things to do with legal advice, those are short-term petitions. Admitted, those are long-term petitions. And pending is where we have an issue that we do not know whether to categorize it as pending or admitted, either short-term or long-term. That means the Commission will require more information from the petitioner for us to be able to determine whether it will be a short-term or a long-term case for the Commission to deal with. As we go down through the system, we also categorize by age category. By age category, we have distribution in terms of ages. We would like to know who are the people, or actually in terms of ages, which category reports many cases to us. Is it the youth? Is it middle age? Is it the elderly? The young ones? All those ones how they are conventionally broken down internationally. That's how we record them. So over time, the system can tell us if more violations are happening to the youth, if more violations are happening to those of middle age or elderly or other groups. The system also breaks down the information further into the various categories, what we normally refer to as the conventional rights, group rights, civil political rights, and economic social rights. So the system is able to tell us at any one time which petitions or which rights are being violated more. Is it economic social rights? Is it civil and political rights? Or is it group rights? As we go down, the system should also be able to tell us other important information. Do people report in persons? Do they send other people to report these issues to us? Or do they come in form of organizations or just joint? People can just come 2 or 3 and report the issues to us. Other important statistics, the system can also be able to help us know at which month or at which point of the year do my petitions come to the Commission, so that we can know how to also plan in terms of staffing capacities, in terms of understanding what really happens in these particular periods of the year, that more issues are reported at the commissions and they're not as even across the year. Geographically speaking, the system should also be able to help us understand which counties or which regions report many petitions to the Commission. So if you are receiving more petitions from one region and not the other, then the Commission should be able to know and understand what issues are being reported from those regions. As we go down, we also have breakdown by marital status, that is conventional, because we also need to understand if the married people, what sort of rights are they is being violated more to these specific groups, if for the single, if it's for the widowed, the divorced, and all other groups. The system should also be in a position to tell you which platform is working best in terms of people reporting complaints. We all know that all the commissions suffer from budget deficits. So if you have to complement the physical workings, let's assume you are doing a website that also can allow people to report complaints. People can report complaints via making telephone calls to your organizations or any other mode to that matter. The system should be able to tell you which one is working well, so that you can also try and popularize other mechanisms for members of the public to be able to lodge complaints. The commissions also have referral partners that we work closely with, partners that we can report the petitions to. So the system should be able to track what sort of complaints are being taken or being driven or being channeled to other referral partners. The system should do that. So for us as a commission, these are partners that we should keep close, so that in the near future, if you are planning for activities, these are people that we should be able to keep close, because more violations are being violated on issues that they probably have a direct mandate to handle. For us as Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, we also record petitions that are being or rights that are being violated by governments, ministries, or departments. So it's easier to know, is the government violating people's rights, and if so, which ministry, which government department is doing so. It's important to be specific, so that as you're telling the government that they're violating people's rights, you are so specific on the specific body that you are referring to. So the system helps us to understand and then interact more with the government, or that even as the government is funding us in terms of reducing or eliminating or even protecting and promoting human rights, then we also helping them understand which government body is also violating the same. So the system should also be very, very specific. Each conventional right is broken down into many other rights. For example, if it's economic, social rights, you can break it down into things to do with labor rights, land rights, and other rights as well. And those ones can be further broken down into other sub-rights within those subcategories. So if you think about economic, social, think about, for example, labor rights, think about things to do with land rights. There are also other sub-rights in there. If you think about civil and political, you have a subcategory, for example, to do with the right to life. But under right to life, you might see people dying in police custody, if you're tracking that, for example. So the system is able to track all the way from the third category all the way up to the main category, or the main right that is being violated, which might be civil, political, economic, social. Or the system should be able to break down all these rights. And as I go down through the system quickly, you can actually see our system is breaking down all that piece of information into all these specific rights that you're talking about. So that if, for example, it's within a certain region or within a certain section of the community, you can actually understand which specific right is being violated, all the way to the minute details of the violation. As I talked earlier, the system should also be able to gauge in terms of performance. Like, how long are we taking to be able to provide redress, whether it's for short-term or long-term cases? How long are we taking? Are we taking 0 to 30 days? Are we taking 30 to 60 days or longer periods? So that over time we're able to tell, are we responding to our petitioners better? Are we taking long? Are we taking short time? And if we're taking long, what sort of cases are we taking longer on? Because over time, when we don't provide sometimes quick redress or quick feedback mechanisms to petitioners, sometimes they lose hope. And that's why over time you find that many people that we serve, they feel that we do not assist them, because chances are high we take longer than we should. So if you don't have a good system to help you track such kind of things, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to note such things. So quickly, I would like to glance over mapping. The system should automatically help you know where the petitions are coming from, so that if you're covering only one section of the country, then the system should be able to tell you, so that you are seen or you know that you are covering the entire republic or your entire constituency. I believe the commission is formed to take care of everyone within the country. So the system should be able to geographically map all these petitions in a way that should be able to help you understand where the petitions are coming from. So you can actually see here at the commission, we are able to tell. And as you continue expanding the map, you can actually see there are many other sections of the republic that you are not covering. There's other sections that you are doing very well, but as I continue to expand up and down, you can actually see there are many other sections that we are unable to cover. The system can play a very critical role in terms of the reporting, various reporting that are being done. I think there are about 10. So the system should be able to guide the commission in terms of responding to all these treaty body mechanisms, all these conventions, and all these reports that are being done over time. The system should be able to cover that as well. If you think about the international compliance role for each commission, think about the UPR process or Universal Periodic Review. Think about the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. How would you do these reports that are required to adhere to some certain standards? It's very difficult to do that if you do not have a system that records this information in a very systematic way. And for us, it makes it easier for us as we are doing the reporting part of it using such a system. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for listening to me. I hope you now see the importance of automation. I hope you now see what a system would do, rather than just us continue with the same practices of just receiving and filing all these things manually.